Yeah, the word love in English has become like watered down
I had a good time, so I think I'm falling in love.
in that verse or in that context because it makes all the difference in the world.
We hear this word love everywhere. But what do you mean? Love is not generic, it is real. I pray that you are encouraged, inspired, and challenged to love the way our God has called us to love. Because love is not just a word, it is an action that requires us to be selfless.
It's so powerful when you really like dig in a little bit more. And even in their language, like if they were to say I love my brother, they will say I phileo my brother. If they were to say I love God, they will say I agape God. But we say
I love.
love, love, love. We throw love all over the place. You know, I was thinking like, how are these words translated? And it's like like you were saying, you say, oh, look at that beautiful plant. I love that plant.
Right.
Oh, look at that dog. I love that dog. Oh, look at that door. I love those doors.
Do you think that could be why a part of the reason why we kind of like lose the power in the word love, because we kind of like, it's almost like we became desensitized to the actual meanings. Like I love that plant. It's almost kind of like what that plant brings to me versus what I bring to that plant.
Yeah, the word love in English, it kind of has become like watered down,
diluted.
Yeah, like a generic word.
Yeah.
And when we look at the word of God, really, we have to really understand what word is being used in that verse or in that context, because it makes all the difference in the world. And I think because of the fact that, you know, it's like you're at the altar and you say, I'm marrying this person because I love them. And a person that might be in a relationship that's not marital relationship might get up the next morning after being with this boyfriend or whatever and say, oh, I love you. Mm-hmm. But that had nothing to do with love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Had nothing to do with love. Right.
Right. So some of the words that I like made note of was like I said, phileo, which is affectionate love, love for friends. It's conditional. And I think that might be something.
You said phileo?
Yes.
Is conditional.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the storge or storge or storage. No, I'm just kidding. Which means love of parents for children, family. It's obligation.
Okay.
We'll discuss that. Then there's eros. We know what that is erratic, passionate love, which is flesh. It's chemically induced emotions.
Chemically?
Yes.
I never knew that.
Yeah. Movement. We can discuss that a little bit. I mean, there's so much that we can talk about, you know, pertaining to this, that I don't know how far we'll really be able to get. And then, of course, is agape. That's the one that we really want to concentrate on, is the love of mankind, and is selfless. And it's important that these definitions are considered, because a lot of times you hear people all the time say, I love God.
Right.
People say that all the time. But what do they mean by I love God? Because we know what the word says. You look in John chapter 3, you look in John chapter 13, you look in the book of 1 John, like you see the word loved you so clear.
Yeah.
But what is really said? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think it's really important. But as we said, we're going to discuss mostly agape love, but you kind of can't get there with clear understanding until you get a clear understanding of the ones that we're capable of.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yep. So you can pick up from there if you want, because you know I'll just talk the whole time.
Nah, it's cool. I want you to keep going. But so this episode is about how we would personally like to be loved. So if you followed us throughout the week at all, we're putting out small snippets of what we'll be talking about, and most of the snippets were about how God has chose us to love ourselves, each other, and Him, but how he has made it so clear that to understand his love, you first need the Spirit of God. And so we understand that the word love throughout our culture, like we talked about, has been diluted, has been broken down, watered down. And it almost came to a point where it's to, I love you based on what you could do for me.
Conditional.
Like, I had a good time with you last night, and the night before that, I think I'm falling in love. I had a good time, so I think I'm falling in love. But when Jesus describes love, that was never his thing. Like, we go to like one of the most famous scriptures in the Bible, for God so loved the world. God loved, so he gave. And a lot of Christians, we know that. But since we're talking about our relationship with one another and how I would like to be loved, and therefore in turn is how I shall also love you, we have to understand that all of our ideas of love have to come from that perspective of, it's a selfless thing. It's not a matter of what I'm getting from you, but it's always a matter of what I'm giving to you.
Absolutely.
And so the first question is, how would you like to be loved? It's really not pointing to you. At its core, the biblical question will turn it back and say, how should I be loving you? Because that's the only way, that's what's really important, is how I should be loving you. Because of how you love me is more important than Jesus wouldn't have finished his job.
Yeah, he would have said, when he was looking at the cross, he was like, yo, somebody go get the troops and get me up out of here.
Right. That was the only way he was able to finish a job, is understanding that it's not because you love me. It is because I love you. That's the only reason.
And that takes me, we kind of like all over the place right now, but we're just going to go ahead. But that takes me to when the word of God says, we love because he first loved us. There is no agape love without first being agape, because agape is God. So if God, love himself, doesn't love us first, we can't give what didn't come to us first.
Yes.
So that's really, really key. And I think that that's where we want to really dive into.
Thank God for tuning into TGIFJ. Thank God I follow Jesus.